We're on episode 53. Back to the Highland League because it's everyone's favourite topic. It's one of my favourite topics. The man we're speaking to tonight, I know, has a great fondness for the league. Served a good almost 25 years in the league. He could speak a hell of a lot better about the history of the league and kind of a golden era of the league, and probably a man who's seen the best part of a good golden era of the league. Welcome to Billy Gordon, Fraserburgh legend. How you doing, Billy? You fine?
Good. Good to meet you guys. Good to meet you.
It's brilliant to have you on, Billy. We've had a good few mentions of you on the podcast. We've had ex-teammates mention you. My first mention of you on the podcast, Billy, was actually I had the journalist Craig Christian very early doors from the Northern Scot. And he's somebody that's watched the Highland League since the early 80s, and I got him to name me the best 11 he's ever seen in the Highland League. And this is somebody that covers all the teams in the Highland League. And you were his goalie, so it was my first kind of time I came across you. And then since then, we've had a few Broch boys in. We've had a few guys that have played against you that have mentioned you and things like that. So it's good to actually finally get a chance to meet you, get your side of the story, Billy, and, you know, get into things a bit. With the podcast, I always start off the same. Same question with everyone. Was how good a football player were you as a kid, and what age did you realise you had some potential?
Well, to be honest with you, in terms of as a kid, I would be a late developer. I was a late developer. I really struggled to get a game for anyone through my formative years. It was really school back in the school I got a break. But up until then, I was just struggling. It was the old politics thing at some of the boys' clubs you were at, and I was never really part of that. And I never really got recognised or rated at all when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of started when I went late on in school years. When I got the seniors team, a lot of guys had left. The key teacher at that time, I think if you remember, was Jack Cooper. He used to play for Peerhead and Huntley. He was a goalkeeper there. And he was the first guy to give me a real chance. And that was school fit, but to be honest with you, with that, I played the juvenile teams, but I was in goodies. I was always in teams that were getting battered. And I started off up front and worked my way back, which didn't take long, to be honest with you. And, so no, I didn't really school football. I always played football. Highland League football was my life, and my dad used to take me to watch Elgin. My dad's for Elgin, and me and my mate, we used to go and watch Peterhead. My relations are off Elgin, so we used to go up there and watch. He would take me to watch Elgin. But Highland League was what I was steeped in. And we used to go back and kick bars about. I would have been in the parks and that. But organised football didn't really. I just couldn't make a mark in it when I was younger. And as I said, it was the poorer teams I played with.
Aye.
Until I got to school age. And as far as the potential, I never really looked at it like that. I was battling to get my next game, to be honest with you. So even all the way through, it's like you were always just striving to be better than your last game, even when you got into the Highland League. So never ever took it. Anything you did for granted, because like you say, you're always good. You're always good as your last game.
Aye, that's a great answer, Billy. Do you think like all the batterings you took as kind of bearings and that in weaker teams, you think that made you a better player?
100%. Yeah, you see some of the young guys now that played in the top leagues. They're used to winning. It's a positive. Mm-hmm. And then when you get a bit of adversity, they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to that. I never took that for granted, and like I said, you got battered, but you kept coming back from there, and it definitely gives you a different perspective. So when you get good at it, you appreciate it.
Aye.
You can't like it is.
Aye, absolutely. Yeah.
You get battered every week. Yeah?
You do. You get used to it, and it makes you a different player. I totally agree. It toughens you up in terms of your mental attitude and things like that, Billy. It's an interesting one. Before I ask you my next question, if any football teams you follow apart from Fraserburgh?
I This is a contentious thing too. He's like, you support. Blah, blah, blah. I'll be honest here. This is what I'm really honest here. So when I was at school, you were either up with us, it was either a Celtic or a Rangers fan. I fell off the side of the Celtic guys, so
Aye.
I would come smell. Fans near the right word. Follow because I never went to game. The plan was when I left school and was working, I would go there and watch every week.
Yep.
Because I didn't think I ever had a fit my career, to be perfectly honest with you, just for the reasons I just shared with you. And was the plan to do that. And obviously, if you start playing, you don't get opportunities to do these things.
Aye.
And that kind of drifted away to my kids were born. And my oldest lad, Lewis, got into he sports Aberdeen. He stopped playing quite early on and he couldn't drive. And I would take him. He says, I want to go to Dundee, and then he got a season ticket. So I started taking him every week to there when he was about 13, 14. I went there for the early part of the McInnes time, and I quite enjoyed it because that was their their good years type thing.
Aye.
Cause
I agree.
so I got a bit of affinity. I like Aberdeen in terms of me is like I always think if they're doing well, it's good for the area and it's a lot of positivity, although there isn't just now. But
Mm-hmm.
it is good. So I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I like to see them winning. And in terms of English, I like Man United. I've liked them since I was a kid, and I've
Aye.
seen quite a few. I've been doing Old Trafford a few times.
Yep.
So again, that's not very positive just now either. But no, that would be the ends that I would say
Brilliant.
this time of week.
So kind of my follow-on question for that, Billy, is there anyone you looked up to as a bear and did you have a football idol?
With the goalkeepers, probably Pat Bonner at Celtic, obviously,
Yeah,
because he was
brilliant.
coming through. I was just started in English, although it's rivals Ray Clemens, because I just spent a lot of time for Ray Clemens. I liked their style. They were my kind of goalkeepers, tall, commanding,
Yep.
and yeah, so them two probably.
Aye. No, great
I
answer.
suppose,
I,
yeah, and I suppose when I got a bit older, it was Big Snelders. It was at Aberdeen. He came
mhm.
across the Dutch contingent, and actually, I was I think in Aberdeen when Charlie Nicholas and Hill House and all them were at the music hall, and Theo was there. I got a chance to meet him, so it was good to actually meet him for. Cause I'd never actually met him before, so it's good.
Brilliant. It's the answers I get very often, Billy. It's good. It gives me a good insight into your fit and it's great. Like nobody wants to keep hearing Buffon or Peter Shilton and things like that. You know, it's common names. Whereas Schnelders, you know, you didn't get that name very often, and it's good. I
Oh,
like it.
he was again. They're my kind of goalkeepers, big, imposing guys that commanded their areas. Yeah, I like that.
Yep, yep. So with podcasts, there's always a couple of questions I maybe didn't give you, Billy, and it's ones that I would just maybe want an off the cuff answer with, because sometimes you can overthink a couple of questions, but it's nothing that's going to throw you off. In your opinion, Billy, who's the best goalkeeper of all time?
Oh, all time. I was a difficult one. I was. It's kind of different because you're kind of through eras now as well, Ken. Because
Mm-hmm.
like we started, like you could pass. If you look back at some of the early games, the pass backs and that, and the game's massively changed
Aye.
since that day. But my belief has never changed and never will change. Fundamentally, is about keeping the thing out of the back of the net, like, and that's the main thing. All time, well, there's a lot of goodies about there over the years. Um, I God, I don't know.
I put you on the
I don't know.
spot, haven't
I mean, I've got to
I?
say, yeah, I mean, you touched on Buffon. I mean, earlier that type of guys, they stand the test time. There's Ham, Felsen. The thing I also liked was the guy uh, Jean-Marie Pfaff back at even the Belgian time in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
He
yep.
was good as well. And some of them actually like Jim Leighton and Gorham. These guys are up there. I think we shouldn't really underestimate Warren because
Mm-hmm.
these were good goalkeepers as well.
Yep.
But yeah, you're pushing me for one.
I was all
I'm gonna go. I'm going to go Harold Schumacher. There you go.
Brilliant answer. Brilliant answer. Germans have always produced good goalkeepers. When I was younger, I was always a fan of Oliver Kahn. He was scary when I was a kid. I remember him being quite scary and things like that. And yeah, just always. I'm a bit like yourself. I do like a big commanding goalkeeper. Someone that's going to come out, claim a cross, and yeah, if you're a defender going up, good luck to you. It's that's the kind of goalkeeper you want.
Did they really chuck in the mix here, Schmeichel?
Yeah,
Said
top
he
class.
was just his feet, but Peter Schmeichel was, yeah, he would be up there. As I say, it's a different league to pro. They've got different qualities, but yeah, that's the guys I would go with.
Brilliant. Um, have you? Well, you kind of just touched on it a wee bit earlier on, Billy. So I'm not going to say have you always been a goalie, but what was your first taste of being a goalie?
Yeah, well, it would have been sort of youth at about 9, 10 year oldish. And my first taste was playing in that juvenile league, and I'll tell you the score. We beat 25 now.
Okay.
There you go. That was
Only
our
ways
first
up,
game.
Billy. The only ways up, pal.
It was that. So yeah, it was really positive after that. So,
Aye.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
you kind of hear like I was a goalie as a kid. I wasn't a very good goalie, but I was a goalie, and I just loved diving about and getting muddy and things like that. What was it for you that kind of was the thing that made you stick with it?
Just to get a game, to be honest with you, just to try and get a game.
Yeah.
I was never going to be a player. I knew that right from early on. Like I had three left feet, so I was never going to do that. And didn't even like. I was always like I always was told for people that you were not outside goalie, but I just kept sticking at it because me and my mate we both were goalies or wanted to be, and we just kept like every time we got knocked down, we just kept up because mate actually got games before I did,
Aye.
and like it's funny if you look back, and he still says I was better than you, Ken. So fair enough, mate. But, but things happen, and you take your opportunities, and he probably was better than me when he was 12, 13 year old, but it's just how it went. It's just how it went.
Aye. Aye. No, it's weird how these things end up panning out, and yeah, it's brilliant. Right, so kind of got your first taste of goalie. What's your first taste of adult football?
My first taste of football was summer league, playing for a well. So that was my first break. So I was wandering about. We were walking up a local street in Peterhead, and this guy that used to be at school, he came in about and he says, "Are you playing football?" And this by this time I'd left school, and we were just doing nothing. I said,
Hmm.
my wife cracked up because I actually said, "Can what happened in this spot?" Because I might not admit you if this had happened. But I was walking up Queen Street, and the guy stops, and he was a bit of a nemesis for me, because he was a bit like playing against him. He was the guy who was barring goals by you. It was
Okay.
really weird how it turned out. So he stops and he goes, "Are you playing football?" I said, "No." And he says, "You win a game?" I says, "Well, yeah, I would if I can get you." He says, "Well, I'm playing for a summer league team." We're training tomorrow at 8:45 at Newborough Beach. I thought, "Oh, okay." He says, I'll pick you up about 8 o'clock. It's all right, okay, fair enough. And so I went in Newborough Beach, howling gale. I think you've never been to Newborough, but it's the warmest place in the world. And we went there, and this English guy that run the team, Paul, I can't remember his name now, Paul, a lovely guy. And these boys were Ireland lads. And so I just went and trained, and he says, "You want to come and play for us?" I said, "Whatever, right." He says, I just went to play. And there was a couple of boys from Peterhead. One of them is Ian Kendi, was involved with Peterhead Football Club now with the youths. Still see him now. So he used to pick me up and we would go we'd play for our darling Summer League. So I had a season there through adult football. And I remember once, I was told before as I had some bruisers in here. And Ian had said to me, he says, "Oh, point couldn't be today." He says, "This guy, Dennis Davidson." It's all right. It didn't mean that to me. And he says, so you'll easily care him when you see him. So 10 minutes into the game, corner comes out, a batter, thrown into the back of the net, and I look through and I'm looking up, and there's a 6 foot bruiser standing over the top of me. And Ian's a right back, and he comes up close, as Dennis. And that was my first. Dennis's boy, Dougie, actually, ended up playing with alongside
Aye.
and it became a good friend. So Dennis has passed a while, but that was my first experience, and there was a lot of tough lads in that league. And actually, the standard wasn't the best, but like I said, I didn't care. I just wanted to be playing. So that was that. The season with them, and moved on to amateur. Well, I had a bit of time with more under 18s, and I moved on to the amateur teams in Ellen, and kind of that's where I made my sort of mark, was in and around Ellen. I left Peterhead, hit my circles, and got really friendly with a lot of people in Ellen. I still got a lot of friends up there even now, but that's sort of grounding me. I got a lot of good grounding for a lot of senior, well, good, solid amateur pros, or amateur players
Yeah.
that were good amateur players, but had good habits,
Yeah.
good lads and good people. And that was which is it was a major thing as well.
It's a sign of a good club, Billy. Is as you see, even though it's an amateur club, it's good boys that are good pros. You know, you only need 4 or 5 of them in the squad, but you know they're the boys that'll drive on the rest. That'll keep the standards high and things like that. You know.
We quite a few. Well, I went through Ellen Thistle, Ardal at Ellen Thistle, with 2.5 seasons there, and I mean, I didn't watch them last weekend. And still, the guy that runs them, he's still there, Ian Burney. He's been there all that time, and his own lane is still there. There's a huge amount of changes, so he's still there. And then I moved on alongside it this season there before I went to the Broch.
Yeah.
I loved my time alongside as well. Oh, amateur fit, but that was well. They were obviously they were first division amateurs at the time. They were a good amateur team.
Yeah.
So by that stage, I'm getting into teams that are way better.
Aye. It's a sign you're improving though, Billy. You know, it's a sign that you're pushing on to that next level and things. So next 2 questions are they're killer questions. You can give me a few names as well because it's never easy picking one. Billy, who's the best player you played with in your career?
Best player I've played with. Well, I'll say this. I'm on record as saying this. Although he never really fulfilled what he should have done. The most naturally talented player that I ever played with was Chris Hunter.
Yeah.
Chris came to the Broch, had a really good first season, and then he always had issues with his fitness. But in terms of his knowledge of the game, his touch, he's just the most complete player I thought that we ever had in our squad. So I wouldn't go apart for that. But Michael Stephen, obviously,
Yeah.
like his season won the league, especially that season, it was just unplayable. But and also Brian Thompson as well. Brian, I played with.
Yep.
Played with Brian and against Brian. I get probably obviously against him. He was such a challenging opponent. I'm not sure I played him with his best years as he was playing, but certainly against him in the Huntley years, he was just flying like really, really difficult. No, I'll stick with Chris to be honest with you. I've said that before, and I'd move off of that. He just never done as much as he probably should have done in a Broch shirt.
Yeah, that's a great answer. The flip side of the question, Billy, who's the best player you played against? And I'll maybe go 2-part with this. Could you give me the best player you played against within the Highland League, and then maybe somebody that you played against, maybe Scottish Cup ties that wasn't within the Highland League?
Yeah, well, it's funny. So I played against, again, Brian's in there. He's Stuart Lee was a really difficult guy to play against, Highland League wise. As I said, the Huntley boys are like there's Martin Stewart. Martin was what a goal scorer. Gary White, very physical, really good trouble with him. Billy Uckert, guys like that, Charlie Christie.
Yep.
And you could really just name it for name. Darren Still. Again, these guys were difficult opponents to play against. May or nothing turned us over. But so any of them, and in terms of external outside the league, Ian Jess played against him a couple of times.
Wow, yeah.
He was he at the time we played them, he was top goal scorer. I might speak about this because it was at a charity thing, and I met him, and I said, "You would clearly when I remember me, but I remember playing against you." And at the time, he was top goal scorer in the Premier League. I think he's something like 14 or 15 goals.
Yeah.
And we were playing him in a Asia Cup replay on the Monday night, and he was playing. He'd scored against Rangers on the Saturday. He was playing on the Monday night. I found that really bizarre that he says, no, but because Alex Smith was in charge at the time. He says, that's what Alex Smith used to do to young boys. Just when you thought you were making it, he'd throw you back into the reserves for a game just to ground you back.
Aye.
And so at that time he was flying.
Yeah.
And the night I played against I thought was pretty difficult. We played Aston Villa and Scott Murray's. Well, there's a game. Jimmy Young's testimonial it ended up being against Villa at Bellslea, and Julian Joachim was playing up front.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, they had a few. They had a lot of young players, but he was one of the first team guys that came up, and they were just a different level. Like obviously they were Premiership players at that time. That was the early years of the Premiership.
Yeah.
I would say them that group. I would say, as I said, the list's kind of endless. Difficult opponents we had, but they would be up there.
Brilliant. Another question I didn't ask you before, Billy. Was there anyone you used to admire as a fellow goalie within the Highland League? Yeah, anyone you used to rate? You think it was a good goalie?
I had a lot. I mean, I was brought up watching some of the guys I ended up playing against. Like I say, they were slightly later on in career. Guys like John Sutter. I was brought up watching John Sutter. And I've actually met him. John's actually related to one of my friends.
Okay.
I met him a couple of times when we finished. We're up coaching with the Broch, and John came in about and we did a good job. Used to love the banter at the beginning of the goalkeeper. Ian Fair, I'm still speaking to Ian. Me and Ian we go back. He's obviously denying his MC stuff, so we'll run into him now and again, and we're still in touch.
Yeah.
So Ian, that's guys that I know, that I knew well. Obviously, I had other guys there, like Mark McCutcheon and lads like that.
Yeah.
A lot of time for them. And previous guys, before I was playing, like guys like James Morrison. Again, I'd been fortunate to play against some of these lads, and these were lads, like I say, I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
This starstruck. It was a bit bizarre actually playing against people you could actually be brought up watching. Okay?
A wee bit of surreal moment.
There was a lot of camaraderie with the goalkeepers through my time. It was great because we come from, obviously you've got the goalie union and all that, but there was a lot of good crack after games, and you go and speak to your opposing goalie, and some become really good friends, and you often bump into people. I mean, I think about the era that I played through. We still see people, players we played against. There's good camaraderie with them. I was out in Aberdeen at the Rock there and bumped into Gary Clark, Darren Still. These guys were out for a night out, and it's just great to meet these boys again. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the youngsters knew we'll do that in 10, 15 years' time.
No.
I'm just not sure. It's kind of changed.
There's different social cues now. I totally agree, Billy. It's not the same after a game and things like that. A lot of boys just want to get home and.
I'm not saying that's wrong, okay? It's just different.
Yeah. Football has 100% changed. So we'll talk a wee bit about your time at the Broch, Billy, because 1986 to 2010, is that right in thinking?
I think that's yeah.
721 games. I'm just going to run through a wee bit your honours in that. 1 Aberdeenshire Cup, 5 Aberdeenshire Shields, 2 qualifying cups, 1 League Cup, and 1 league trophy. 193 clean sheets, Billy, in 721 games. It's about a 1 in 3, just less than just over 1 in 3. It's kind of a whirlwind for you because 24 years to anyone is a long time, but it probably doesn't seem like a long time to you, Billy, does it?
No, it doesn't. That's the scary thing. No, it doesn't. I mean, my first game, like I said, I was late developer, so I didn't get my first opportunity in the Highland League. First game was 20-year-old. So I was 20 when I first played. Up at Bucky, that was my debut. And then I never played again. Well, no, I played in the Wednesday, and then I played against Clark on the Saturday. And then Neil came back in. I never played for another season and a bit after that. I was back to my amateur clubs, and then Neil had announced that he was moving. Well, he was taking a player coach job at Devon Vale, but he was moving. I think he was moving job as well at the same time,
Okay.
and that gave me my opportunity. But I was really 2.5. So there was 2.5 years between game three, well, another game at Frothes, game three and game four.
Aye. It's fair play, because a lot of young people wouldn't have, especially we're speaking about nowadays, probably wouldn't have sit and wait for their opportunity. But you waited for your opportunity, and you'll be glad you did, because obviously you went on to have a fantastic career at Fraserburgh. I've asked this question to a few guys that played for Fraserburgh and things like that. What is it about Fraserburgh, Billy? Because you always have good teams, and the boys are normally within 20, 30 miles of Fraserburgh. They're all local, it's always a physical team, I'm not going to put you too much on a pedestal, but you're all hard as nails, they're all built a certain way through there, if you came what I mean.
Yeah, I think, like, even now, like, there's still some, well, there's still a couple of boys that are still there that have been there since I started. Finlay Novo has been through a lot. He's seen a lot. He's did different roles there. Ian Smith,
Yeah.
the committee, he's making as well, but he's been there. And then Charlie and Jimmy Adams that started the youth policy, where I didn't really fit in the youth policy. I kind of missed that, obviously. And they started that in behind pretty much 2 years after I were there. They decided they were going to go develop a youth policy. So Charlie started that off, and that was how it was, and getting guys in locally. Local being like Peterhead, and it's split over years. There was a period of time, I think it was something like 9 for Mintlaw, around about that Mintlaw and
Wow.
Peterhead area.
Yeah.
It really was a lot out with the Broch, and then it flipped back. So you're right, they were all like sort of within Broch, Peterhead, at least to go as far as Hell, and that was really about it.
Yep.
And then obviously as times went on, they kind of moved out, branched out a wee bit further. And even now they're a wee bit, we've got boys for Aberdeen, a lot of lads, but they do look at Aberdeen. And some of the lads that are in Aberdeen actually originated locally and moved into Aberdeen, and then you fill a car to come through. So they branched out a wee bit more than back in the early days. There's nothing wrong with that. But the ethos of the club is about Charlie started it. Chris came on after Charlie. Chris played basically fit under Charlie. Then Mark came after Chris, and Mark played under Charlie and under the. So they've all taken their own little slant on how they went to see it playing out, and doing things slightly different, slightly moving over through the years, which is absolutely fine. But the ethos of the club has never really changed. That club is still being run the same way pretty much for all these years. Whereas other clubs, a complete reset of people, just complete reset of people each time. The connection has always been, so what was started in the 80s, there's still an element of that collection and that type of player that they want in their team. And they want physical players, but they want fast players.
Aye.
Because Charlie always wanted fast players in his team, in forward areas. And Chris was the same, and Mark, they want guys that are quicker, up top, and then solid defenders. If you look through the years of defenders, these I've listed, they're all similar builds and similar types, similar types of characters, and you've got to be that, because what they've never done, and none of them ever done, is bring in somebody that will upset that environment. Because you can bring in somebody and completely. There's a spell, and I'm going to name names, but there was a spell from Charlie brought in a couple of guys for the outside, and it didn't work. It really didn't work. We thought it would make us better. Football-wise, it should have made us better, but it didn't really.
Yeah.
And then you reset back to what we've been doing. So no, it's just that. It's just that continuity. That's been there over the years.
Yep. You kind of mentioned an important name there, Charlie himself. It's the club really isn't where it's at today without that man's contribution. Would you agree with that, Billy?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I can't. I mean, he gave me every one of my starts. So he faith in me when a lot of others didn't. He believed in me when others didn't. I
Yeah.
mean, when I signed for the club to start with, he said, "I'll put you in a pro forum." I said, "Nah," I said, "I'll sign an amateur forum." He said, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Well, if I don't like it, at least I can go back and play amateurs." He says, you need to sign a pro form. He says, but I didn't want to do that because I fear I would fail. And he's like, you want to fail, honestly. So I signed a pro form and he's there
Yeah.
ever since. But yeah, him and Jimmy Adams, Jim and him were pretty much the double act back in the early days. Jimmy looked after it in terms of the financial side of things, and Charlie run it, looking for the youth setup and trying to get the best youth guys that he could. And it was between them pretty much a lot of my early years.
Aye.
Right through until probably about, well, Jimmy was there from one league, so it was a fair bit of time it was under Jimmy. Jimmy, that was 2002, and Jimmy, his health failed a bit after that, and he kind of took a bit of a back seat. But up until then, it was really Jimmy and Charlie that were the guys.
Yeah.
But no, Charlie's like Mark and Chris both played under him and learnt a lot from him. I said there's a lot of things that have changed, but there's a lot of values that he instilled in a lot of people that people are still using.
Brilliant, Billy. So this is maybe a hard one for you, but because sometimes it's hard for people to maybe judge their own performances, judge their own careers properly. Sometimes maybe get better to get an opinion. But a goalkeeper, I always feel a goalkeeper, if a striker scores 3 goals, great. They're you can have an absolute brilliant game, but if somebody goes and scores a winner, Billy, it's not down to the goalkeeper having a brilliant game. It's the guy that scored the goal. So I always feel with goalkeepers, the performances, if a goalkeeper's getting rave reviews, he's obviously done something better than normal, because not how often do you hear of a goalkeeper being a game winner apart from when they save a penalty or something, it's just doesn't happen. So in your opinion, Billy, what do you feel has been your best kind of performances at the Broch?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of changed a wee bit. Like, I went through the broken times. Like, I started off in a team that wasn't really expected to win games.
Mm.
Well, from when we were just competing. We were at the bottom half of the league. We were competing against Calais, Counties, Elgins. So we were never going to be at the top end of the league. Certainly never the players that we had.
Yeah.
So I was under a fair bit of pressure, and you could get a really good game and you lost it 3-1. You were picking up a lot of praises for your performance. And then that kind of flipped. The better you got, the performances were like making a crucial save at a crucial time to win a game. And so that's how my life flipped there. But in terms of that, my first season, given what I was telling you earlier on about the experiences and they getting rated in Peterhead, so that's what I was brought up at, and not really getting a shout through anybody. We played at my first Bucking Derby was at Recreation Park, which was pretty daunting for me. So that's a place I used to watch. I used to go and watch. Played like juvenile games there, but never
Mm.
like it was completely different playing in Highland League. So that was week one, and then also it was when you used to your derbies were back to back. So you played one week at Fraserburgh and another week, or one period, and then the opposite at Fraserburgh. So the second then was back at Bellslea, and it was we were parking that place at times. For the Bucking Derbies right through the 90s and then the 2000s, and that was my first game at Bellslea against Peterhead, and it was Andy Smith from Peterhead then, and they had a really good team.
Yeah.
It was a year I won the league actually.
Okay.
Brian Thompson was there,
Yeah.
Silverite, Gus Jock, Scotty Tate was in goals. Right, it was John Silverite, fantastic team they had. And we beat them 1-0. I had a that's one of my best. Well, it was a great game for me. And then after it, there's people coming up and giving you that praise that guys that didn't rate you. Well, you believe they didn't rate you. So to go and do that against them was brilliant for me. What happened was because Keith McCready scored a goal in the last minute, it was even better because it's one of them last minute winners. They were happy just to finish 0-0 because they were a miles better side than we were at that time.
Yeah.
We were like halfway through the league and they won the thing that year actually. And so that was one of them. And the other one was, I can recollect, was playing, well, my dad, he's an Elgin City fan, so when we played Elgin, that was always a thing. So we played in the qualified cup, so that was a quarter final to get into the Scottish Cup. We
Yep.
had to qualify for it, and it wasn't just a given like we get now. So we played Elgin at Bellslea and we won 1-0 again at Bellslea, and that was another game that I was just making. It was just one of them days, you're making save after save after save, and I went back at my house one month and raging. So we won 1-0. That was. I think there was some carry on up at Elgin before. We drew 2-2. It was a replay actually. We drew 2-2 up at Borough Briggs, and John Teasdale scored their goal, and I think he fell out with him during the week or something. So there was a bit of a ruckus going on. So he didn't play in the Saturday, and there were a bit of carnage, and they came down to Bellslea and we beat them 1-0, and we got into the Scottish Cup, and they kind of fell away a wee bit after that. So that was really about the Pelly area.
Aye.
And he left, and they went a bit of a downward spell after that. But yeah, that was the two that they were pretty early on in my career. Obviously, there's other games. She's soon I'm 21, I think there's a few more. I could do laugh, you know, right?
Just a few, Billy. Just a few. I'm just going to do a wee bit for my viewers, Billy, just in between the questions, Paul. If you're enjoying listening to us and you want your episodes early, get yourself on to Patreon. Got probably about 10, 11 bonus episodes on there. I do actually keep the Patreon up to date. You'll find out who's coming on early. You'll get a chance to ask people questions. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, all the above. Give us a wee rating as well if you're enjoying the show. It does help other people find the show. Okay, Billy. So I mentioned your honours there, your Aberdeenshire Cup, Shields, you've got a League Cup, qualifying cups. I'm going to go out on a whim here and League trophy, your favourite out of the lot, Billy?
Oh yeah, 100%. That week it was weird. We started the season. I think we started the season. I think we played the Aberdeenshire Cup at the beginning of the season. I think the fact is we beat 8-0. I think Devon Vale and the Aberdeenshire Cup. And I'm like, what? And we just started. Like I said, Michael Stevens was on fire that year, and we just started winning games, and it just was a momentum thing.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie signed a lad by the name of Ian Bissett for the juniors, I think it was, and he came in November, and he was just rapid. I think it was the only season he played, and it was I just clicked into gear, and the last two games we played Vale at Bellslea, and there was 3,500 people there that night.
Wow.
We were 1-0 down, and then Moby scored again. He took a blood in his chest and penalty got corner. I would have made it 2-0, and I think it was all 3 on the referee. He just allowed it for a push. I think he said that Moby pushed. I think it was Chris, because Chris was pointing it back there. It was never a foul in a million years. But if we'd lost, if we'd went 2-0 down, then we'd never went back.
Aye.
And a draw would have meant we would need to win something like 19-0 in the last game at Cove. But we won 2-1. Gavin Williams come off the bench and scored. And we won 2-1. So the following Wednesday was obviously at Cove. We just needed a point. And there was another 2,000 people at Highland Park that night. I've never seen scenes like that in my life. We're driving doing Highland Park. We're going down towards Highland Park. This was 6:15. We were there early, and they were queuing right round the back to get into Highland Park at that point. It was a real surreal thing.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, to think to go to Highland Park, we didn't have a great record there, and it was such a tight pitch. a horrible place to go and play. Never far less to try and win the league, but we did it. We got there, and yeah, it was by far the best night into early morning that we've jumped in.
It's a celebration to make it worth it, Billy. Absolutely, celebrations. Have you got a favourite game of your career, Billy, you were involved in?
I suppose for the achievement is the cold game would probably be it. But in
Yeah,
terms of favourite game, one that sticks out, well, probably but with the last Aberdeenshire Cup final at Recreation Park, we beat Peterhead 3-2. Again, we got absolutely battered. They were up 2-1. They should have been 4, 5, 6, to be honest with you. They were, again, they beat up Dave Watson's team with Colin Mill, these lads, Ira Curry. They were
yeah,
really good side. And the Aberdeenshire Cup. So we got to the final. What they did is they tossed a coin to see, because there was no point in taking a Broch game to Huntley or Keith or whatever. So both clubs agreed. We tossed a coin, and that was the year they left the Recreation Park. So that was the last Buchan derby.
okay,
Won that game 3-2. So that was a pretty special moment for me. Again, with my roots being Peterhead anyway,
yeah.
of my life. So yeah, that's a big game as well, to be honest.
That's a special one, mate. Absolutely.
This episode of the Football Journals is brought to you by Elgin City Football Club Director and Elgin City Women FC Director Chris Foot. Along with helping Lee keep the podcast going, Chris also works relentlessly as a director of Elgin City and the women's side, tackling various tasks and roles. You can follow all things Elgin City on various social media platforms to keep up with both teams' journeys this season. You can also check out episode 37 of the Football Journals, where Lee spoke to Chris about his life as a director, the progress of Elgin City, and his love for Manchester City. But, you know, in my opinion, you can just skip over to that last part if you know what I mean. But in all seriousness, thanks once again, Chris, for your continued support, helping us keep the lights on here at the studio and making bi-weekly releases of the Football Journals podcast possible.
So I've started on this question actually into the podcast, Billy, and I'm going to two-part it because I feel I need to explain this question, especially when we're speaking about Highland League. So I asked you who's the most underrated player you've played with in your time, and what I mean by two-part is one of the parts of the question will be: is there maybe a guy that you played with in your career that just didn't get recognition for like the sheer amount of work or what he actually did on the pitch? And the second part is there anyone you played with at your career that should have been playing at a much higher level, if that makes sense as well?
Well, in terms of underrated, I would say Henry Meekie was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Meekie playing left back for us primarily. He could play centre half. He wasn't tall, but he played the majority of his games. Just played at left back. Didn't his skill level wasn't particularly high. But I never seen MD go past him ever.
Yeah.
And you talk about Broch players being hard as nails. He was the nails. He is the hardest boy. You didn't look it, but Jesus, he was tough.
Yeah.
As I said, nobody ever went past him, and a lovely guy. Like again, I still see him. He's seeing that, so often see him again. But yeah, he would be it. And I think a lot of people, if you ask Broch lads, if you ask them about him and me, he would say the same.
Mm-hmm.
Ability, even himself was limited.
Yeah.
But Jesus, he got on it and he played it, and he played to his capabilities. So he got it, he played it, and the players that could play. He didn't try and do anything he wasn't capable of doing. And yeah, he'd be the underrated player. As far as guys, I suppose I mentioned it earlier on with Chris. Really, to be honest with you, like
Yeah.
he had that ability. He just didn't harness it correctly when he was younger. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of anybody else who would fit that bill, but it takes. I mean, it takes special kind of players to get to actually to then go and make careers. It's been difficult for Highland League boys over the years. There's not a lot of them have done it.
Yeah.
You need to have the correct attitude. It's not just about ability; it is about attitude. Chris never had that. Scott Murray had the right attitude, and like I say, he's not the best player I ever played with. far-fetched, but with a great career out of doing the right things. And yeah, so no, Chris probably again. I'd say him.
Yeah.
He should have been playing higher. Should have been.
It's funny you mentioned Scott and that. We had Moby on a wee while ago. Moby, you'll know yourself. Billy Moby's a bit of a character. He's a cheeky sod. Let's just say. He had a few. He had a good few stories about you, Billy. So we're just going to play one back to you just now. Just to see kind of a wee memory jog for you to see if you get a wee laugh out of this. I've got 721 games for Fraserburgh.
It's mental. He's a great guy, Billy, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've lobbed him probably 721 times as well. He hates it. He said at a charity match, I'm going to lob you, but his son was in goals for the opposition team. I lobbed his son for 20 yards.
You can't be doing that.
He still doesn't speak to me because when I was in Ireland pre-season in Bangor, me and Duncan Summers, excuse me, we phoned up his room. Because Billy was top pro, didn't drink much, in his room early for bed. So I phoned up, Irish accent. They're making a noise. And he went, no, I'm not, it's not me. I said, yeah, I'm going to come and knock on your door. Me and Duncan Summers bowed our fire extinguishers, knocked on Billy's door, he opens it, soaked him, he went mental. He never spoke to us for ages. We were paying 2 weeks' wages.
Billy Gordon, I've got 701 games for Fraserburgh. Is that Moby in a nutshell, Billy?
Moby in a nutshell. He's good with a story. I heard that actually. I heard that going out, and the bit that he said there is the amount of abuse I got. What did he say? You didn't drink. You didn't drink a lot.
He said you didn't drink a lot. He says you were a top pro.
Let's just say that's my story. I think he's actually got the country wrong. I think it was actually the Distinguisher story is actually Wick.
Wick.
It was in Ireland, I think. But he's a boy like that.
Yeah, I don't like the truth getting away a good story though, Billy. No, absolutely not, mate. I know he was a good crack, Moby like, and but just kind of touching on Moby, and you mentioned Scott there. Obviously Scott, I think it was 15, 16 years old, was the hot prospect, the hot property come out the Highland League, and you probably seen him at that age. Would you have seen him at that age, Billy, that he would have went on and had the career and the trajectory that he had from the Broch afterwards?
No, in one word. But what I do remember, so we used to train on a Monday night at the Buchan Tech in the Broch, and it was an inside gym, and I didn't particularly like getting in there. Training. So Charlie used to let me, Chris, and a few other guys used to get down to Bellslea, and they just on the Monday night, because it was obviously indoors. So we would just take a car and go down to Bellslea and switch the floodlights on, and then do some basically shooting drills and stuff like that. So one night I went down, and Charlie says, "Oh, I can't mind fathers and everything." So I was on my own. He said, "I'll give you one of the young lads," and I thought, no, like you didn't get the same kind of velocity or shot type thing, and this is okay, fair enough. He says, I'll give you Scott, and I had never seen him before, and so we laid out these bars. Honestly, cracked about 5, and like the first team came crashing off the bar, and I thought, holy, we had a great session with him, and I said, what's about so much young Murray? He says he's a player, and he must have only been, he was 16 and a half, maybe gone 17 then. And I never seen him much after that until he came out in the first team, because he was obviously playing with the young lads.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my first experience with him. The only downside that Scott was a bit like Marino as well. I would have loved, for my personal selfishness, that we had them for another couple of years. We could have won more with them, because they were young and they left young.
Mm-hmm.
And if we another couple of years. I mean, obviously that couldn't happen because these clubs wouldn't snap them up at a really young age. If we had Marino and Scott for another year and a half, 2 years more than we did, and then they'd moved on, as a club, we would have we'd have won more at that time.
Aye.
So I remember Marino actually left. I think he left before a Conference Cup semi-final. Dundee United would get signed him, so they didn't play him. It was a massive blow for us. I think we would have won the game, but he would have been there through that, and then that season we're dealing about in the league as well. And you never know if that would have made a difference to winning leagues as they develop. But fair play to them. The both of them, they're still the great careers. Marino's obviously out of the fit by light now, but Scott's still working with Bristol, and absolutely legend in there. They love him.
Yeah.
I had guys from my work. He got accommodation lined up for him in there, so he got a flat. One of the Bristol City players. He says, "I'll get you a flat," and fair play to him, he did get us a plush flat for 3 of my boys that were working. And they went down there, and he said, I'll meet them. So I meet them outside of Witherspoon. So I met these lads. One of them's, well, they weren't the fit, but so they kind of knew who he was, but they were doing there. Obviously, he's wandering about Bristol, and it's like they're walking with royalty. They're walking back up and look at God doing there.
Yeah, he is. Aye, absolutely.
Yeah, so they loved it. But no, that's what he does. He's just a great guy, and the both are actually. Ian's the same. But he's a rogue, but he's salt of the earth. Both of them, like them both, love them.
Brilliant. Yeah, totally agree. Just good guys and good personalities. Guys you want around the changing room as well. And
brilliant. Hey, he's always up to no good, like. Yeah. Scott, Moby, and Hunter were all together. And just
I can guarantee that. I can guarantee it.
Good lads, harmless.
Billy, do you think you could have made it as a modern goalie?
I'll answer that in one word. No. No chance.
No.
I now go to games and get slaughtered because my boy's there, and my boy plays, and he's so good with both feet.
Mm-hmm.
Are the things that I could never be. So no, I couldn't. I mean, I said before, I still think it's about keeping the ball at the net, but that's part of the game now. And no, I think there's a lot of goalies in my kind of generation. You're lucky if you see a quarter of the games.
Aye.
That you did. Because we came into the league, like the pass back rule.
Yeah, it was just a way to ask about that. How did you adjust to the pass back rule, Billy?
Well, it didn't really. Like, the intent of the game was to try and make it speed it up. All that it did was for boys like ourselves. Because when it was played back, all you did was lamp it forward. There was no taking a touch and playing at the fullbacks. You just basically lamped it back the way it came, and that was really how it was. Or into touch or whatever, because we were never used to playing in the back of feet.
Mm-hmm.
And that just came as years went on. So the youngies now were brought up with it, so they were being coached that. We were never coached that. We just had to adapt it.
Yeah.
And some were better than others. But even back then, none of the goalies then were as comfortable as they are now. It's just they are just an 11th player now, in a lot of occasions.
Mm-hmm.
They're so comfortable. It's scary. No.
Not for
I'm
you.
going to live at that point. No. No chance.
So Billy, 24-year career at the Broch, plus all your a couple of stints at junior clubs, amateur clubs, and things like that. 721 games, 193 clean sheets, major honours, playing with a lot of good players. What would you consider your proudest achievement of your career?
Well, I suppose hitting that milestone, to be honest with you. I never set out to hit any records. I just played as long as I could play because it took me so long to get into it. I wasn't wanting to get up many times in the hit though. Although latterly you get to the age when you've got family and that, you're thinking, well, you're only one bad injury away for being finished. And guys like Ian Fane I touched on earlier on, he broke his leg twice. I was fortunate, touch wood, that it never happened to me. But no, just to hear that career, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
that's my sense that is my achievement. But everything we've done and won, I find them my achievements for me because I didn't. It's a league I wanted to play in when I was younger and managed to do it. If I hadn't won nothing, I'd have still been proud that I played there.
Yeah.
But the default we've done or default I did in my career and then see the guys carry that on to a successful club. It's because it's obviously like it shapes your life. It shapes a lot of what you do in life, not just the football with that. And it gives you that grounding to your wider life. I probably wouldn't be sitting here today, mum being married who I'm married to and kids I've got if I hadn't if Charlie hadn't given me that chance and it's kinda how I view it,
Yeah. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason at the end of the day, Billy, they say.
100%.
Aye, one door closes and another one opens, and that's just the way life is. And it's so true. I work in football myself. I'm Elgin City ladies manager, and it's weird how things just certain parts, and especially in football, certain parts of your life you think are over and done with, and it'll close a door, but all of a sudden it opens up another door to something else, and things fall into place. And I just think I'm not a religious person or that, but I do believe there is a plan for everyone almost, and it's like, you've got to hate the hard times as well to go and try and find these new experiences in the good times. I don't know if you agree with that.
I know 100%. There is tough times and through loads of things. Obviously, life gives you all that stuff. But yeah, through the football has given me so much friends out of it and friendships through it that will be friends for life.
Yeah.
And that's like I say, I touch on like you can go for a night out in the town and meet loads of guys you played against. You can stand at a bar and yap a just nonsense about football. Like that, like I say, that will never change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've finished now. Some of us lads have been finished 10, 15 years now, and we're still meeting another as though like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just great. I just love the camaraderie, everything about it. To be honest with you, hardest league out there. At the minute that game is finished, you were friends.
Aye.
Because you respected everybody you played against. For quite a while.
Absolutely. You've kind of nailed it there, Billy. It's there's so much respect in that league on and off the pitch. And it's through doing so many episodes of this, it's well reciprocated. A lot of boys will give back, and you're all kind of you're all in the same boat at the end of the day. It's not the most glamorous of leagues, but you all love it. Absolutely love it.
I would do that every day of the week. It's still like some of the stuff we're watching now in the senior game. Like I'd still watch a Highland League game at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's just what it is. It's people disagree with that, but it's raw passion. And it's commitment. It's everything you want the sport.
Absolutely. We'll just suppose before we get into year 11, Billy, we'll just kind of touch on current Broch, because I had a bit of a Broch legend in the studio 4 weeks ago. I had Scott Barber on the podcast. Would you have liked to have played with Scotty Barber?
I actually did play with Scotty Barber.
Did you? I didn't realise that, Billy.
Well, that was pretty much one of my last games. So he it was a 2-1s game. Believe it or not, you were allowed over his players then. So we played at Cove, and that was probably one of the first games. Charlie took him along to the juniors. He was at Buckingham there at the time, I think. And Charlie played him left back.
Wow.
And one thing Charlie got wrong, I have to say, because I can't remember what he said. Some of them lines you'll never be quick enough to play. I can't remember what it was now. And then we never seen him again after that. And it was only when Chris took over. Chris took him back to the Broch, and well, the rest history.
Aye.
I would have loved. Yeah, we'd have loved to play with him. His goal scoring records. He's obviously top goal scorer now. But what a player! What a player! He's another one. he's took the opportunity that he's been given
Mhm.
because he was knocked back a bit, I think, as well when he was younger, and he's come back and he's another. It's just, yeah, he's class.
Yeah.
And he's a bit like Michael Stephen. The older he's getting, like lose a wee bit of that. He is quite quick. In fairness, he is quite quick. But you lose a bit, and then you bring others into the game. And Michael did that as he got a bit older as well.
Mhm.
But Scott's, yeah, fantastic. Great servant. Great servant. I hope he's still got much more goals in him.
Oh, definitely. There's still another 100 goals in him at least in his career. I think it's phenomenal.
100%. Yeah.
You're 1 to 11, Billy. This is quite a good one. It's a 4-4-2. I'll read through it.
Old school.
Old school. I can't beat a 4-4-2. Absolutely. I'll read through it and then I'm going to pick some names out of it. So, in goals, I've got Neil Clark, as mentioned before. Your back four is Derek Milne, Russell McBride, Jimmy Young, and Willie West. Your midfield is Stephen Main, John Thompson, Keith McCready, Scott Murray, and your front two is Mikey Stephen and Brian Thompson. That's a hell of a front two, like, by the way. I suppose we'll get into, because I hats off to you. Not a lot of people put themselves into their 11s, Billy, but you actually put somebody that was your club rival into your 11, you know, Neil Clark. So you learn a lot from Neil.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I put Neil in there. I never seen him as a rival, to be honest with you. I always felt like I could never be what he was. Fantastic goalkeeper. When I went to the club to start with to train, well, he was obviously first choice, and he was an absolute beast in training. Like, it's fit. Like, honestly, the work I always felt second rate to the amount of work he put in training. He was just an absolute beast. And running to the beach, he was up with the front with the outfield players. He was just super fit back in his young years. And I never thought that I could. If somebody's telling me I was going to replace him, I'm like, are you joking me? And I really didn't think that I could. Um, but we did. And Neil moved on to different places, and then he came back. Obviously, his work took him south. He came back up. He was my goalkeeping coach for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was playing. Well, he played when I was injured a few times, and then he did time at Elgin City. The year they won the league, and they were struggling for. He was there. Then he had a season in Cali. He was up there for a season. A fantastic guy, fantastic person, and a fantastic goalkeeper. And if you ask any of the guys you bring on in the future, the respect for Neil Clark, right up there, right at the top. Everybody you speak to will say that. And if anything ever happened, we chatted around that time, and you were asking any of the players how they would have wanted to cool. Now, Neil wouldn't do this. He's going to believe it says he could have been a great manager for the football club, a great manager, because he had total respect from every player, bar none. You want to get MD to say a bar one against Neil. And for me, I just learned by watching his work ethic to train and to be better, and just by his performances. And a lovely guy. Still in touch. We see we've got a chat going, which I wanna, with myself and him, Finlay and Jimmy, have a chat going, and I wanna share any of that. Like, it's not good to do that, but no, lovely lad, absolutely superb, and a first class goalkeeper, hard as nails, just solid.
Yeah.
Again, just my type of goalkeeper. So yeah. He gets the nod, and there's been a few goodies. Paul Lees, I always thought was underrated at the club.
Mm-hmm.
He never made a lot of mistakes, and there's been a few others. Joe's took his chance. Joe has been around for a long time, had been and gone and came back, and he's wrapped up a few games now as well. So we've been blessed with good goalkeepers for the years, for sure.
Absolutely. So I don't know when he's coming on, but a future Football Journals guest and Mr. Russell McBride. I don't remember Russell at Elgin, but I remember Russell had a stint at Elgin in his younger years. But I always remember Russell as just a presence, just an absolute presence, and just a big unit.
Yeah, Russell started off, and he came into the team. He was a 16-year-old. He played up front. His ability, his ability is unbelievable. I'd say the only reason he couldn't get him up front because the games were at the time, because with good strikers, Tess was pokey, and Brian was there, and we had good strikers then. And Charlie, I took him back, and he wasn't the quickest, so that kind of didn't help him either. But he went back into the back four, and I was used to say, and I still say this: as a goalkeeper, you'll be defined primarily by the two guys that are in front of you. Well, certainly, if nothing, you're certainly a centre half, and if you've got a solid centre half in there, then it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. In games. And I had loads of good innings with Boomer, John Duffy, late John Duffy's passed away, Kenny Roger obviously passed away as well. These guys were solid. Like Russell was the captain. Me and Russell just had a really good connection. He would do stupid things in the box. I don't know how we got on now actually, because see this new rule with taking balls off at people in the 6-yard box. You can do that a goalkeeper. Russell would be doing that now. We would be loggerheads just now. I can't imagine playing with him now under that situation. But no, we just had a really good understanding. I just love playing with Russell.
Yeah.
He was solid. Nothing got past him. One thing or the other, I guess, and miss a bar there, to be honest with you. So yeah, he's my rock in the middle.
So the man that's just recently overtook your appearance record, Willie West. Unbelievable. Just if I'm not, this will probably sound a bit bad on you, Billy, but 700 games as a goalie is someone else, but 700 games playing every single position on the park apart from goalie is just next level. Is it? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, it's funny. I went back for a season with Mark and James, the coach for a season, and I don't know, it was 20 something. I can't remember anyway. But Willie got injured in, I think it was about September. He never played a game that season. Well, he pretty much missed a whole season, or he would be aware. He'd be kicking 800 by now if he hadn't got injured that early. He would pretty much missed a season.
Aye.
No, I just and to come back, and even then he wouldn't have been that young then. To come back and get that amount of games, it's as you say, it's for an infield player. It takes a level, a real level of fitness to do that.
Yeah.
Because you take a fair bit of knocks over the time, and he's just like been, as you say, everywhere. He's been. Well, I say he's left back when I started, and he's went up a part, and now he's come back, and he's back in there again. He's left to a 3 much this week. But no, he's just again another. I seen him at 15-year-old. I remember Charlie saying to me, he was doing a pre-season, and this little spindly leggy boy came in about, and Charlie says he'll be my first team by September. And I'm looking at him, and obviously he picked the team, so he knew. But like, Willie was in the team by then, and never looked back.
Aye.
He's just a solid guy, just a super pro. Can't say more than that. Right up there for me. Like.
Brilliant. We'll move into your midfield. Stephen Main.
Stephen, season 2, 3 seasons. Well, the first season he came, I gave him, I think it was a season 1 league. And like him on one side and McGavin Weems on the other side, we're speaking about Flyers, they were absolutely rapid.
Yeah.
And Stephen had a fantastic season. Just he'd do past people to get the byline, caused so much carnage. Just another cracking lad. Like speaking about nice guys, and every one of these boys are nice lads. But Stephen again, good friend of mine. Just a salt of earth and just a cracking lad, good player.
Good man. Keith McCready.
McCready, we were talking about players that would have made it into the senior game. Keith broke his leg. He broke his ankle. The semi-final against Bucky on a Wednesday night, and we were training at Bellslea, and it was literally yards for me, and this under-18s boy cut across Keith and cracked into his ankle. and little do we know at that time that he basically snapped his ankle, and he was out for nearly a year. He got his leg pinned, and he ended up. He came back for it, but he was never the same. If I hadn't happened to him, I firmly believe he could have potentially been playing Scottish League. He came back. He didn't. He got fit, but he was never the same. He went to Peterhead, and I think that was probably his last club actually. Like, and he finished a lot earlier than he should have. But it was really due to the injury.
Yeah.
And I think even to this day, I think he still gets problems with that ankle because it was pinned. I think they never took the pins out of it, to be honest with you. It's a real bad one. Like, so yeah, but at that time he was scoring. He was centre of mid. He was hitting 19, 20 goals at a time. To the centre mid, he was just
Wow.
awesome in the air. He came into the box late in corners, unstoppable. And I think he came into the team. I think he came into the 16, 17. That was before I was even there. And no, he was another just an athlete because he did a lot of cross. He's super fit lad. Like,
Yeah.
he did a lot of cross country stuff. He would do cross country and then come and train, and just a beast, awesome. But so the injury curtailed him, and sad he didn't actually. He probably didn't fulfill the potential that he had. Yeah.
And we'll finish off here 11 on Lugs, Brian Thompson, because he says you played with him and against him, Billy.
Yeah, well, back to my early days, when I first went to the club, right at the beginning, when I was training, Charlie first invited me through. Brian, obviously, he's larger than life. He took me under his wing, and I had a special affinity with Brian. Like, he looked after me. He gave me a lot of confidence in things that he was saying about that he thought I could end up doing, and whatever. It's just like, but I had a lot of time for Brian, and then we went and we obviously played against him Mayor initially, and finished 5 in a row team. Like, he was mental. He's just unbelievable. Left peg, and I've got two left footers up there, but they're two goodies. Like, it's not a really good balance. But when he hit it, it was staying hit. Like, we made some great battles on the pitch. It really did. And then he came back for Carly to the Broch. It didn't quite work for him when he came back, but it was just good to be playing with him again. Like, I'd rather him in my team than me in my team. But like one
Absolutely.
of the best strikers in the Highland League in my time, that's for sure.
Brilliant. Well, Billy, before I get on to my last question, just a thank you. It's been good to have a wee look back with you, my man. I know that you're very passionate about the league, and rightly so. It's one of the greatest leagues in the world, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. But we're always going to be biased on it, and you'll struggle, especially this season. I don't know if you've noticed, just a lot of unexpected results in that league this season. And you normally, with the Highland League, you get that the first maybe couple of games, but we're a good few games in now, and we're still getting these unexpected results, and
yeah, it's the weird thing is that I went to Huntley and Broch beat 4-0 at Huntley, and poor that night, very poor. And then I think the week after, they went and beat Broch. I mean, you wouldn't, if you'd seen the team in Wednesday night, you wouldn't believe that in the basically. I was not at the Brewer game. I was on holiday, but my son was there. He said it could have been 6-7, and then I think the following week they lost 4-1 to Forest, and you're thinking they're kind of out of it. They've stuck about 5. I think that's 5 in the bounce now, and obviously Brechin dropped points, Brewer dropping more points, and certainly there's nothing in it between the top 4 or 5.
yeah,
And as you say, some really weird results. Strathspey there. They started well and looked, and then see some barons, and they had some cracking results as well. They beat Bucky 4-1. Kind of, you're right. It'll probably settle down if you can just hang in there. Just now, it'll probably settle down, and the cream will obviously usually rises anyway. But I think you just need to be in and around it by the turn of the year, and you're in with a shout. I always used to say that if you were in and around it at Christmas time, you're in with a shout. Yeah.
yeah.
But no, it's competitive. There's a spell for like top 6 or 7, and then it was the rest. And there was no shocks in there. But it's a very competitive league now, right from the top to the bottom, to be honest with you. There isn't a really easy game.
No, it's true. It's true, and it's getting more and more like that every season. You know, there's less and less a big gap between the clubs, and you know, it's great. It's great for the league, and I'll say bring it on. Right, Billy, I've always finished the podcast on the same question. Same question for everyone. Episode 1 through to now. If there's a penalty and it needs scored to save your life, you can have anyone from world football taking your penalty. Who takes your penalty?
World football.
You can have world football. You can have Highland League. You can have an ex-teammate. You can have your dad. You can have anyone you want, Billy.
Brian Thompson.
Brian Thompson. Yeah.
Oh, he wouldn't miss a penalty.
No, I think we've actually had Brian as an answer before as well. I'm sure somebody's given me a Brian. Yeah.
You get in the wire, he takes you out of the net as well. So he'd be my man.
Brilliant.
Every day of the week.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Billy. Thank you very much for your time, my man. It's been good to catch up.
It's been excellent to speak. It's good to talk about the league. I love doing that. And keep doing what you're doing. It's fantastic. It's good stuff to listen to. It's good listening to other guys coming on and then saying their bit. It's good reminiscing.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Okay, Billy, I'll be in touch soon, pal. Thank you very much. Okay.
No worries, man.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye. The Football Journals is now on Patreon. If you sign up on Patreon for just £5 a month, you can get access to our upcoming guests and the chance to ask your own questions, the ability to watch our podcast with full video exclusive, audio only on all other platforms. You can get your episodes earlier than anyone else, sometimes a few days, sometimes a week, but you will get your episodes earlier than everyone else. Chance to request guests of your choice. We will do them our utmost to get them on the show, if obviously within reason. I can't go asking Cristiano Ronaldo on the show. And one bonus episode per month. There's already a bonus episode on there. You'll get a further bonus episode every month. Sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J. That's a sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J.